Hello there. Welcome to the Strong by Design podcast show. Hosting today, your friend, Coach Chris Wilson. So glad to have you. Great to have you. And as you know, if you're a past listener of the podcast, I'm not the only one hosting the podcast. We do share the load a little bit here at Critical Bench, and sometimes the founder of the company, Mike, if it's more of a leadership topic or entrepreneurial or marketing-based topic, Mike will kind of handle that one just because of his years and years, decades now of working in this industry and having some great leadership-based conversation. Oftentimes, if it's health or fitness related, it comes to me. And then we also have one of our videographers that we hired earlier this year is an amazing guy who's a pastor at a where he used to live in Colorado, and he's kind of our in-house pastor. But so if it's spiritual or faith-based, or really just anything about relationships and things like that, we'd love to have Jared in on the conversation. And so we kind of take turns hosting. And in the past, we used to have Coach Tanya and Coach Brian hosting. So we've had some great hosts over the years here on the Strong by Design podcast. We're over 250 episodes. We're in our 5th year. The podcast is really just a treat for us that work here at Critical Bench. It's a ministry for us. We're currently not a monetized podcast. We really just do this as a way of giving back to all of the amazing people that have been following Critical Bench for almost 25 years now. And it's really, these are great conversations that are not only helping, obviously, the hosts of the show live a better life, but certainly all of our listeners all over the world. We're heard in over 80 countries, and it's so much fun to go in and look at the analytics and to see where the downloads are coming from. And it's so much fun, these different countries and stuff that have 80 to 200 downloads in a country that you've never been in, but you're maybe making an impact in someone's life there in a particular episode. So it's just so cool. So we're so appreciative of everyone listening, and we certainly encourage you, if you've gotten something from today's podcast, something it touched you, it moved you, it inspired you in any way, please share it with a friend or family member. That's how these podcasts grow and get more listens and downloads and ratings and reviews, is by people just sharing it with people in their network and people in their family or friends. So we greatly appreciate that. I know when I hear a good podcast, I'm very quick to share it with a couple of people just because it moved me, it touched me, and I want other people to get that same message. So our guest today, Dr. Steve Hruby, he is a chiropractor and an amazing entrepreneur, and somebody that I came to know just a few weeks back. We had a great call, got to know each other a little bit more, and love what he's doing in the world, and just felt, wow, there's so much that we can talk about with his background. And so I really want to get into some conversation, but I want to let you know a little bit more about who he is. As I said, his background is in chiropractic medicine out there in Arizona, which is really cool out there, by the way. I've been out to Arizona before. It's awesome. But he's also doing some other stuff, more integrative medicine. And I love this side of health because it's really people taking ownership and accountability for the way that they live their life, their lifestyle. And obviously that plays into much of what we talk about here at Strong by Design. It's the choices that we make every day that we're putting 2 feet on the ground and what we're deciding to do, what we're putting in our body, how we're moving our body, how we're taking care of our body, restorative things, and getting the most out of our body, trying to extend our life and to feel our very best and operate at our very best. So welcome to the show today, Dr. Steve. It's so great to have you. And I've had a lot of really good friends over the years who are in your line of work. One I've worked for and one who's a mentor of mine, guys who were in chiropractic medicine, but why is it that field in particular seems to lend to this type of kind of integrative medicine, where you're not just stopping with adjustments, you're kind of going much further with people?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I want to answer that question, but I do want to first say, what an inspiring introduction, man. I just got to say, like, my number one goal and why I do what I do, and even to set an intent for this, is always to help people. And, you know, we had that great conversation a few weeks ago, and I've just been so excited to hear, because that is your guys' mission. You know, foundationally, that's your mission, is to help people. Man, to hear you're in 80 countries doing all this stuff, and you don't, when you're getting that big, you don't even realize the ways you're helping people. So thank you very much. It's wonderful to be here. I'm quite inspired by that introduction. Yeah, great question. I think it's really, I would say I graduated, I've been a chiropractor for 21 years now. And if you'd asked me that question, or any chiropractor that question 20 years ago, I don't even think you would have been asking that question. This is how quickly the world of healthcare and really regenerative medicine has, first of all, just blossomed. And a chiropractor like me largely is doing integrative work now. So I have like a medical staff that I work with. I have a medical director. He's an ER doc. I have a PA who does a lot of the work on the medical side. That is because there is now a whole world of regenerative medicine, which is really a proactive healthcare treatments and model that didn't really exist 20 years ago. So when I first started practicing, it wasn't even on my thought to be working with medical doctors and doing this integrative model. I would say there's been integrative clinics before that, but they were largely just pain mills. And we can talk about some pain treatments as well too, and my thoughts on that. But what got me really excited about it was my own personal health journey. You know, as a chiropractor, I was helping a bunch of people. I've always been super passionate about health and wellness. I think that's what you're going to find in my profession, is doctors who really want to help people. You know, where our philosophy is more health from the inside out than health from the outside in, right? Like, Chris, you're designed to be healthy. You were born to be healthy. It's your God-given right to be healthy. If you just want to look on a purely scientific, biological aspect of it, you know, evolution, we didn't evolve to be unhealthy. Our species would have not survived if we evolved to be unhealthy. We are inundated by medicine, which is kind of telling us a different message, which is you're sick, you're not healthy, it's your age, it's your genetics, it's your bad luck. And all those things are not true. You're designed to be healthy, and we're really about, hey, we want to give you the tools, teach you to be healthy, embolden you, empower you, so you can take your health in your own hands. And so for me, when I got interested in longevity in particular for myself, I started going and doing these different longevity services. And first of all, they were kind of expensive. And I just decided, like, why wouldn't I got so passionate about it. I was teaching my clients about it. I was promoting it. I started going to a bunch of seminars. I started speaking at seminars about it. It was just a natural progression for me to bring that on. And I think that's the story with many chiropractors.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like it's the story with a few of the people I've had relationships with in my past. I think I had told you on our call a few weeks ago, I for a period of years worked for a chiropractor. I didn't work in his business. He had a chiropractic business inside of a fitness and health center, which is kind of a common practice down here in Florida, and it might be elsewhere in the country, where you are kind of a business within a business, right, which gives you that exposure, right? Which is, it's great. Like, people obviously care about their health and wellness when they're in a fitness center. So you're like, oh, I got a chiropractic guy. Yeah. And so he ended up buying the business, the building and the business. And so he was my boss, even though I was the GM of the fitness and tennis center. But I would go to him. It was great because I had free chiropractic care, so it was great. I could go in and talk with him, and he could make adjustments and do the things that my body needed at the time. I actually really miss having that that kind of connection to somebody who could put their hands on me and kind of help me feel better. And then there's a mentor of ours, Dr. Ron, who is a past guest on the podcast, who comes from also chiropractic medicine for decades. And he just has such a great interest in so much more than that. It's not about prescription medication and all these things that I think so many of us have been led to believe that all problems kind of are resolved by medicine versus like how to kind of go a layer below that and be like, how can I remedy that? How can I get to the root cause and start there? And it reminds me of a conversation earlier this year I had with Dr. Boz, who is an internist, an internal medical doctor. And she had said, if there's a problem that an internal medicine doctor can't fix, then you're probably going to die. It was like, or in terms of didn't know what, because their job is really to understand. I love what you said, like from the inside out. Like your body is designed to be able to heal and to be able to fix and overcome and get, be healthy. But I think so many people have become reliant on these Band-Aid fixes and addressing symptoms rather than really getting at the root cause of things.
Yeah, I totally agree. How I'm a big educator and a big educator of my clients. And one of the things that I break down very early for all my clients is reactive versus proactive care when it comes to your health and your wellness. And really it's a choice too, how you live your life. Now, reactive care is something's going on with you and you're reacting to it. Okay, let's take a trauma. You fall off the roof, you land on your back, you hurt yourself. Okay, now you do have an injury that you're reacting to, and you're in this place of reactive care with that. Proactive care is you're healthy. How do I stay healthy? How can I maybe be healthier? How can I be a year from now, 5 years from now, 20 years from now? And I always ask people, which one do you want? What are you looking to do for your life? Almost everybody answers they want to be proactive with their health and well-being. But we live in a society and a culture, and even though we all consciously know this is what we want, where we're inundated with a reactive model. And that is the Western medicine model of here's a pain, pill, potion, lotion, surgery. And certainly there are a time and place for this. Listen, 3 years ago, I ruptured my L3 disc. Thank God for Western medicine. I couldn't even stand up. I was in so much pain. I needed pain intervention at that time. And thank God for it. That allowed me to get past a reactive hump that I was in, so I could then get back to a proactive place and heal my body appropriately. In fact, the fact that I so wisely, I would say, take care of myself proactively, when you do have an injury, because life is going to happen, you will have injuries, things are going to happen, you're much better equipped to be in that reactive mode, get through that reactive place, and then go into proactive mode. I would say probably 95% of what people are being treated for and giving drugs and medication for, if they were simply proactive, they wouldn't need the drugs and medication, and they wouldn't have gotten to that place. So it's really one of my missions to educate and empower people to be proactive. And again, it's one of the reasons I'm so aligned with what you guys do, because you guys are just teaching people how to empower themselves when it comes to their health and well-being.
Yeah, that's been our thing for the better part of 12 to 15 years now. Initially, Critical Bench was very much a bench press, muscle building, forum website, and we were really appealing to just people, mostly men, trying to get stronger at a particular exercise. And then we totally shifted gears around 2010-ish and became more general health and wellness, and trying to reach men and women with solutions to kind of everyday problems. the pain here, movement issues here, how to incorporate exercise into their life very simply, and make movement like more beginner level and gentler, rather than so much of what's out there is very aggressive and kind of hardcore, which is great for the people looking for that, but that's not the masses are really not that. That's a small percentage, right? Most people just want to be a little healthier and want to introduce something into their lives that gets them upright and moving a little bit more safely. And so that's really where we've gone for the last decade plus. And that's where we've seen the most growth, obviously, in our business, is just quick solutions that people can apply in their everyday life and get some, pretty quick results from it. And so, Strong by Design, the name behind the show came years before we actually came up with the podcast, because we just felt, man, that's like our slogan, that's our mantra now. Like, you are strong by design, by how you design your life. Not only were you created strong by design, by a designer, but you are able every day to live that out. And I say this in a lot of our episodes, it's our choice, as you said before. It's the decisions that we make every day, and it's a cumulative effect, right? There's a lot of little decisions that we make in our day that stack up on top of each other that determine the end result, where we are in our 40s, in our 50s, in our 60s. Are we prepping our food? Are we thinking about, bringing food with us to work versus always eating out? Like, just that one small decision that's made over time has a huge impact down the line, decades later, on our health and wellness, right? And so I can go off on tangents of this stuff, but I love this topic of inflammation, and we've talked about this in past podcasts, but it's been a while. So many bodies, people listening, their bodies are like chronically inflamed, and it's really just it's a combination of the foods or lack of nutrition in their body, how active or inactive they are, right? Environmental things. Could you talk about just the how inflammation plays into our life, and how it holds us back from really feeling well, not just physically, but even mentally, cognitively?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to give you an interesting fact and an interesting stat. Inflammation itself, 9 of the 10 leading causes of death in America, the strongest correlation to those 9 things in all those cases is inflammation of the body. The one exception being suicide. So heart disease, cancer, neurodegenerative diseases, Alzheimer's, all of these diseases that are what's killing most of us most of the time, the underlying cause is inflammation. In fact, and now some of the processes of inflammation in the body as we age, there's actually a thing called inflammaging, that there are some processes as we age. That's one of the reasons we want to slow down aging and stop aging as much as we can, will cause inflammation. But most inflammation that people are experiencing in their body are simply because of poor lifestyle choices that they are doing. From, as you mentioned, food, movement of the body. Movement of the body is so important. Strength, agility, flexibility. These are all functions that are going to be removing inflammation of your body. Your stress levels, your ability to balance your nervous system. And most of us are way too in fight or flight, sympathetic. We live in a very stressful world. There's a lot going on at all times. There's podcasts to listen to. All these things are inundating our body with stress. So things like mindful practices and going out into nature, simply getting sunlight exposure, all these things are critical functions, very small things that if you're not doing over time lead to big bad outcomes in the body. So all those things are things that you can proactively be doing to keep inflammation down. So yeah, I can talk about more of the inflammation. Just
I know. Oh, I'm sure. No, I'm sure. You probably have four or five other points that you could make right now about it, because it is so interesting that people get used to living in an inflamed kind of state on a regular basis, like chronically inflamed. The word chronic in front of inflammation just means that it's kind of like your typical behavior. It's like it's recurring. It's regular, and over time, that's the real killer. It's not like just one day you're inflamed. It's like every day.
Yeah, and I think
Every
you
moment.
can think about like the frog in the warm water that heats up. This is how inflammation is happening for most of us.
Yes.
It's not like you just wake up one day and you have a bunch of inflammation. It happens very slow. In general, think about like tooth decay. It's happening very slowly and subtly in the body. And so we're not even aware till we get to our 50s, 60s, 70s of how it's affecting us. And in fact, it's not even that you all of a sudden wake up and you're like, I got inflammation, that's a problem. All of a sudden you wake up and you have heart disease or you have cancer. And the underlying cause or pusher of that genetic marker in the body that's going to cause these diseases to actually present themselves in your body was inflammation all along. So if people think, again, my biology, there's heart disease in my family. It doesn't mean you're designed to have a heart attack. It just means if you don't take care of yourself and do the things you need to do, there's a high probability that you're going to end up with heart disease. There might be cancer in my family, colon cancer. There is colon cancer in my family. If I don't take care of myself and keep inflammation down, I am likely to get colon cancer. So all these things, again, that these 9 out of 10 things that people are dying of, we're not designed to die with those things. It's just we all have genetic weaknesses that if we don't do the proper thing and keep inflammation down in our body, that's one of the best things you can do to prevent these things, you're more likely to end up with one of those diseases, die younger, not get the quality of life that we're all looking for.
That's right. And I think that's a misconception for a lot of people when people hear, obviously the C word, cancer, and there's obviously so many different forms of that. I've lost my brother to brain cancer, which ultimately is just a bad card being dealt, because that sometimes doesn't even have as much to do with lifestyle as it does just really bad. Brain cancer is kind of its own thing. Right? My mother, though, she died of ended up being stomach cancer, which started in her, what we think started in a lung, and then went to colon. After partial lung removal and 6 inches of her colon removed, she had lesions on her stomach and cancerous fluid, and it's just like it moves around, and she can never quite get a complete hold of it, so it's really frustrating. But a lot of us seemingly healthy people actually have cancerous activity inside our body. It's just that our body is able to overcome that, right? Right? So could you, not that we're going to sit here talking about cancer the whole time, but this does play into this conversation of inflammation and our body's ability to resist cancerous activity and to kind of fight it and have like soldiers ready to take over and fight that battle.
One other point I want to make too is, and it's not that inflammation is the only cause of these diseases and cancers. Especially with cancer, listen, we live in a very toxic world as well too. So our body is getting inundated by toxicity all the time too, which can be triggers to these types of things too. But to your point, which is the more we can keep inflammation down, because you're actually right, there's a lot of, now they have like these very sensitive tests that can pick up cancer, quote unquote early. And some of these tests are actually like too sensitive because it's showing that everybody has cancer. Because we do have often in these types of cancers, you do have cancerous cells that develop your body, and your body through its own natural mechanisms takes care of the cancer, before. Cancer is, in many ways, it's really that process getting out of hand in the body. What's important with that is, yes, to do understand that some of these processes are naturally occurring in the body, and it's just the body's, again, designed to be healthy, and now something's blocking that body's ability to do what it's designed to do and fight off the cancer from ever getting to that point, or something like that.
What are some of the most common things? Now, obviously, you're a chiropractor. You've been doing this for a couple of decades now. You've interacted with people of all walks of life. What would you say are some of the most common things that they're coming in with, like symptoms from, being out of alignment, or just other things associated with, maybe not living their best
Right.
their best quality of life?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, number one, I'm a chiropractor, so people kind of naturally gravitate me for back problems, right? So, neck pain, back pain,
Of course, right.
headaches, migraines. Back pain. Let's just talk about back pain, particularly low back pain. I mean, that is the number one reason that people miss work worldwide, is because they have back pain. And
Wow.
something like, I don't want to quote, but I think it's like something like 80% of people at some point in their professional career will miss work because they have back pain. So we're all have a high probability of this maybe occurring to us. And when I see people with these types of problems, in general, they're always going to fall into two different categories. Category one, there was some type of trauma. Got in a car accident, fell off a ladder, landed on their back. It's easy to make the connection again of, okay, you had a physical trauma, now you have a physical problem in your body. But more often than not, that's not the case. More often than not, it's improper motion or lack of motion coupled with time that eventually there's enough aggravation to the nervous system that they're feeling it as pain or discomfort. Think about like tooth decay. When a cavity starts to hurt, nobody thinks, oh, that's because the sandwich I just bit into gave me that cavity, right? We all have a pretty good understanding that cavity probably started decades ago, right? Like, why am I teaching my kids? I got a 12 and 14-year-old. Why am I keep teaching my kids to brush their teeth from a very young age? Okay, it's not because they have tooth decay, it's to prevent tooth decay. And we actually now understand this about this process of spinal decay, or just decay in general in the body, and even inflammation plays a part of this, that it is very progressive over time. By the time you feel, it takes about 60% interference to the nerve or the soft tissue around the nerve before you even feel it as an ache or a pain. So think about that. You can have 20, 40, 55% interference and feel totally fine. Okay, you hit that 60% threshold, ding, ding, ding. That's when the alarm goes off in the brain. The brain's, your body's not dumb. It starts running a protection program. Protection looks like this. We're going to send you pain. We're going to tighten everything up. And you better call your chiropractor. But it's interesting. We take X-rays, and I've probably seen 25,000 X-rays in my career of people. And it's very clear. You can see the decay and degeneration. Usually they rate decay and degeneration in phases. So there's phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Phase 3 is like the little old lady or little old man with a hump in their back. It's not even really till people get to phase 2, typically, without, again, some type of injury or something that they did, that they start to feel it as pain or discomfort. And I work with a lot of families. I work with a lot of children. I have a real passion for kids. And I'm always teaching them, especially with the tooth decay analogy, because they get that, is, by the time you get to that point of phase 2, I mean, we can almost always help you at that point, but a lot of the damage has been done. So again, if you can get that proactive mindset, earlier the better, it's going to really serve you for that longevity down the road.
Yeah, it's funny because I think back, my exposure to chiropractic medicine goes way back to when I was a kid, because my father always really had was very much would often go see a chiropractor. My dad was a real active guy, exercised, played racquetball, but he would go for regular adjustments and checkups with his chiropractor, and he was kind of a family friend. And I used to remember going to the office while my dad would be getting adjusted, or be in the room while he was getting adjusted and be like, oh my gosh, that looks so weird, or whatever. But my dad was very consistent with it because I think he understood that, if you're active, and you're interested in kind of optimizing your body's performance, getting x-rays done and getting somebody's hands on you to manipulate, your head position and neck and back, and to kind of keep him feeling well, it was kind of a necessity. And it's become that way, I think, certainly by now, but I mean, I'm talking about the 80s, and so I always kind of had an appreciation and an affinity for chiropractic care, because as a movement specialist and working with people one-on-one and in group formats and all kind, and now online, of course, for the last 10 years, the spine is everything when it comes to movement. And if your spine is not optimized, if it's breaking down, if it's not properly supported and stabilized, your whole life is a mess. It can be a mess. I mean, what was it that took your back out? So how long ago was that? Give us some more details, because how did a chiropractor who's seemingly in very good shape, what was it? Was it an accident, like a car accident or something, that like threw you out of whack? What happened?
Yeah. Well, I wish my somebody in my family knew about chiropractic. I mean, I came from a family that nobody went to a chiropractor before I went, and I went. So I have a good origin story of chiropractic. I first went to a chiropractor when I was 24 years old, and the backstory to that is when I was young, I was a very active kid. I was kind of adrenaline junkie. I mean, I was the kid who I learned how to ride my bike, and 10 days later, I was riding my bike off my parents' roof. And so I played a lot of sports and everything. I did a lot of BMX biking. And when I say I did a lot of BMX biking, I would say I wasn't a good BMX biker. I was really good at falling. But it was like I was saying earlier, I was a kid. I knew how to fall really well. Early 20s, I had graduated college, didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. I was working as a server at resorts, and all of a sudden I wake up one day and I'm like crooked. I can't, stand up straight, literally can't stand up straight. Had no idea. I mean, before that, I was like, your typical, like, king of the world, like, invincible, nothing can stop me. A friend of mine, I mean, I didn't know anything about chiropractic. A friend of mine, I mean, literally just brought me to a chiropractor. I don't even know if I would have gone if she hadn't brought me to a chiropractor. I thought the whole thing was very bizarre. But the guy assessed me. He started teaching me about it. I mean, it really resonated with me with right away. I just didn't know anything about it, and everything about it made sense in terms of the body and how it works. He educated me about the nervous system, which I had no idea. Chiropractors, in large part, are really about the function of the nervous system, how the brain and the body communicate with each other via the spine and spinal health. Yes. And got x-rayed. I mean, it turned out actually I had what's called a spondylolisthesis, which means literally I had broken my back at some point at a young age. And like I said with the cavity before, all of a sudden one day it seemed like it came out of nowhere, but it didn't come out of nowhere. It started decades ago and led me to a chiropractor's office. I started getting great results with my pain immediately. Interesting thing the doctor said to me when he assessed me. I was there for a low back pain. He's assessing my whole spine. He's feeling around my neck. He asked me, do I get headache, migraines? I didn't get headaches or migraines. But I had mentioned in my history that I had really bad allergies throughout my whole life. And he said, I think when we start correcting your neck, I didn't even think there was anything wrong with my neck because I didn't have pain, right? So I said that model of like pain problem, no problem. I think it's going to have an impact on your allergies. And I remember hearing him say it and just like, what is this guy talking about? Whatever, like just fix my back. I was like, whatever. About a month into getting treated and, my back pain had gone away. But I was continuing at that point with maintenance. I mean, I was just really fascinated by the process of chiropractic right away. I was out playing golf with buddies, and my one buddy was just suffering with allergies. And I just realized, like, I don't have my allergies right now. And I'm so used to, if somebody's suffering with allergies, I'm right there with them, right? With seasonal type allergies and pollens. And my allergies cleared up about 95% when I started getting my nervous system corrected, because these nerves in your upper neck regulate a lot of your sinuses. So they regulate your I'm allergic to the same things I was always allergic to. I just started responding, my body started responding more appropriately to the things that were causing my allergies to be horrible, to now they're just very minor seasonal allergies that I get. And literally that moment, it was like a light bulb went off for me. I was like, this is like what I want to do with the rest of my life. So I am one of those guys who had like my own personal life-changing moment. Because let me tell you, and it's interesting, I've learned so much more now about this. Suffering with allergies like that, where I was a mouth breather, which leads to all kinds of health problems, which I've only learned about myself in the last 10 years. It was life-changing, really was life-changing experience for me. And getting out of the aches and pains was great, but resolving my allergies the way it did just changed everything for me. So that's how I found chiropractic. It's been nothing but an amazing journey. Again, I'm so passionate about helping people. So, once I got through the trauma of school and going through all that, it's just been a road that's led me to one wonderful thing after another. I get to do my passion all day long, which is helping people. Now it's led in the last, 12 years to really just radically helping people on the health level, not just chiropractic, but all the foundational things that people can do with their health and wellness. I think another reason you see so many chiropractors into health and well-being is because we really understand the foundation to what we're helping people with the most does stem to like motion of the body and strength and mobility. I mean, if I correct a misalignment, a subluxation that's going on, I'm correcting their nervous system, and they go back and just do the same things that created the problem in the first place, that might be great business for me because they're going to have to keep on coming back. But, we want to get to the source of the problem. And the more, especially with strength and balance of your muscles of the spine, that is just foundational to me getting good results with my clients in terms of what I do chiropractically for them.
I want to talk about what you're doing with SuperHumn in a moment, but before we get to that, I just want to touch one more moment on what you're doing in practice right now with these three areas of care. We've kind of talked about it a little bit, but these are three great takeaways for anyone listening. You talk about regenerative, rehabilitative, and preventative. Can we just kind of touch on what those three things are and why they're so important, and they all are connected? And I think it's a great takeaway for anyone really interested in kind of the big picture of really taking care of themselves, is how regenerative, rehabilitative, and preventative medicine kind of come together.
I love it. Yeah, that's a great question. Well, I would say, foundation, what I would encourage everybody and where we're most empowered is that preventative aspect. I mean, it's not just preventative. It's foundational to your health and well-being. Those lifestyle choices that you make, that you're in charge of, your food, again, motion of your body, sleep, all these are things that sleep's a huge one. I mean, I used to think food was by far the biggest factor that was affecting people's health and well-being. The information that's come out about sleep in the last 10 years, I think sleep is by far the biggest one. I mean, we're all kind of as strong as our weakest pillar. And those are in general like the pillars that we should all be looking at with that. The reactive, the rehabilitation side of things, two things. If you're not doing the foundational stuff, that is going to quickly move you into, the rehabilitative state. More often than not, people hurt themselves because they're deconditioned. People tell me all the time, "Oh, doc, I went out there and I overdid it." I'm like, you didn't overdo it. Or like ancestors used to pick up, boulders and climb up mountains all day long and put them down. They're just so deconditioned from sitting in a chair all day long that then they go pick up their kid or pick up a box. They throw their back out, right? But then also, here's the other thing, right? Life is going to happen to you. So you can be driving your car, take very good care of yourself, Chris, and somebody out of nowhere comes and hits you. And many of us are going to have these types of experience in our life. And that'll happen. If you train a lot, I mean, we've all been hurt when we train and exercise. You want to learn how to do it so you're minimizing the ability to do that. But that's going to potentially happen too. Again, life is going to happen to you. The regenerative stuff, I mean, that's just what I'm so excited about. I mean, that is the new era, and we are in that era now. Regenerative medicine is here. And what I teach people about regenerative medicine is it really is, regenerative medicine is telling your body, it is still your body that does the healing and regenerating. So regenerative medicine, things like stem cells, PRP, NAD, you might know some of these things, you might not know them all. We could talk about any of those things. These are all things that are directing your body, or kind of hacking your body to heal, to regenerate, things that your body's already designed to do. You put these things in a dead person, you put these things in a very unhealthy person, they're not as likely to get good results. Now, I've seen some pretty unhealthy people actually get some very good results with some of these treatments. I mean, that's how phenomenal some of these treatments are, and they're only getting better. I mean, we're really just starting to scratch the surface of this regenerative era that we are in already. But here's the thing. The foundational stuff is what's really going to dictate you getting the results that you're going to be looking for on the regenerative medicine. So it is so important. Even my people who come in and who are doing, stem cell treatments or whatever they might be doing, if they're going to invest that money, and it's money well invested, it's your body, I want them to get the best results. And often I am encouraging these people, hey, before we do this treatment, let's take a couple of months and really strengthen that foundation. Let's reduce inflammation in your body so you get the best results with these types of things. And again, the technology, I'm just going to tell you, that's coming the next 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the road, it is worth it to take care of yourself now so you can enjoy those benefits down the road.
Yeah, absolutely. That's, for me, I'm very much kind of, I'd say, young at heart, but certainly, I've heard this from other people. I remember hearing this years ago. It's kind of like no matter how old you get, there's a certain age in which you kind of mentally connect with or gravitate to the most. And I think it's almost like a place where you just that's how you kind of see yourself. And for me, I always feel like maybe it's around 30 years old or in my early 30s. Like, I always feel like mentally that's kind of where I still am. Like, I feel like I should still be able to move just as good, almost as good as somebody in their late 20s, right? I should still be able to run and jump and lift and play and do all of the fun stuff that I did when I was younger, but understanding that I have limitations, But it's just kind of where I see myself. And when I think long term, when I think 10 years from now, 20 years from now, I still want to be able to do all of those things. And some people might say, oh, well, I'm 46, I'm not that old, but when I'm 66, will I still be able to run, jump, hike, go outside, roll around, do sprints, whatever, at the best of my ability as a 66-year-old? And I mean, I think absolutely I should be able to do that, but it's how I handle myself today and tomorrow and the day after and what these next 20 years look like. It doesn't matter that to this point I've been taking good care of myself. If I stop doing that tomorrow, there's no way I probably even see 66 years old. It's such a quick thing, right? Our body, if we let it, will get deconditioned quickly. I mean, if we just stop everything and just sit at home sedentary, no matter how healthy we are today, we will atrophy so fast, our bones will weaken, our mental state will suck, everything will go down the tubes in a span of weeks. I mean, it's unbelievable. We have to just stay at it. And that's what gets me so jazzed up, is because it's so much like in our control, in our power, in terms of like making those conscious decisions every day, and the things that we implement into our life. I want you to tell me more about this whole new thing that you're doing now. Obviously, you're doing amazing stuff at your clinic, face to face with people, all these great options for people to really improve their health and know more about their body. Tell me more about what you're doing with John and the guys with SuperHumn, because it's new to me, some of it, and I'd just like to even go through it, because at the end there's an opportunity for people to get some free stuff, and I want them to be able to learn more about what it is that you guys are doing.
Right on, right on. Well, it falls right into alignment with what we're talking about. I mean, the reason I developed SuperHumn is to support everything that we were just talking about, that foundational thing. So there's currently, we're getting started, like our first 4 products. I'm just going to go through them and talk a little bit about them. So SuperHumn, by the way, it's spelled SuperHumn, HUMN. So you can find it on superhuman.com. See if I can focus my camera.
Stuff right there. Yeah, look, we each got stuff. Look at
That's
that.
right. So Optima is our gut health formula. So we talked about inflammation earlier, right? So one of the biggest sources of inflammation in people's body is that many people are suffering from different gut issues, probably the biggest being leaky gut. And I'm guessing your viewers have heard about leaky gut. It's funny, 20 years ago when I first started practicing.
We've done multiple podcasts. Yeah, we've done multiple podcasts on gut health.
Yes, it is, again, just foundational, because your gut is where you're breaking down food, you're absorbing the nutrients. And when you suffer from leaky gut, I mean, basically you're not properly breaking down the food. It's getting into your system, not being properly broken down. For one, that causes inflammation. It is also considered by most people probably the #1 cause of autoimmune diseases out there. And autoimmune diseases, if you look at the numbers of how much they're increasing in the population, it is staggering. So again, you can live very clean and healthy. We're getting exposed to toxicity. So a lot of us we're all kind of suffering from one degree or another of leaky gut syndrome. So Optima, one of the things Optima does is it has L-glutamine in here, which by the way is great for building muscle and strength as well too. That's going to help heal leaky gut. There's other things. So I would prescribe a bunch of different supplements for people to help with their gut health, and got really smart with that and helping my clients with that. And what wasn't out there was a formulation that just had kind of all the things I was recommending in one. So this will help heal leaky gut. It also helps with digestive. It has digestive enzymes in there as well. It's got 25 billion probiotics per serving as well. So that's feeding the gut flora in there. Digestive enzymes and just other things that help soothe your guts, because different people have different issues sometimes that they just have sensitive guts with that. So really great product with Optima. Again, it's going to ultimately help reduce inflammation, keep your gut healthy. I always say about our products is these are meant to support people with healthy lifestyle choices. So just like regenerative medicine, you're going to get your best results when you take good care of yourself. Supplements, you're always going to get the best results when you're taking good care of yourself with that. I don't like when people just, again, don't promote like, hey, do the crappy things and you just take the supplement, it's going to fix the problem. It's just not real. So that's not real. The truth is you do need to do the things that you're biologically, genetically, spiritually designed to do. We have another product, Serenity. This is our Rest and Restore product. Okay, so this is really about helping balance your nervous system. Again, about 99% of us are way too sympathetic, meaning we're too into our fight and flight response in our nervous system. And over time, that imbalance of not being in parasympathetic, which is more our rest and relax, again, creates inflammation and all kinds of other problems as well too. So this helps adrenal support. So our adrenals have a lot to do with helping detox us, but also it's going to help keep your body more relaxed. I have a lot of, it's not a sleep supplement. You could take this in the morning, you're not going to be drowsy, but most of the clients that take this, I promote Take at Night because we hear tons of feedback on how much it helps them sleep. Because again, if you think about it, if you're sympathetic, you're too much in fight or flight, that's not going to be the best time, when the lion's chasing us, which is kind of what that response is about in our body, to go to sleep. We have Aura, which is our CBD hemp product. Okay. Again, Aura, two things. I mean, CBD is amazing for taking inflammation out of your body. So, and the other thing that CBD does is it helps balance your nervous system, which we were talking about too. Interesting thing about CBD is people take a lot of CBD. They talk about CBD to help anxiety and help chill you out. But actually, if you were too relaxed, CBD kind of neutralizes your nervous system. It actually bring you up a little bit if you were too relaxed. However, I mean, try to find somebody who's too relaxed. It's hard to find in this world nowadays.
Besides a practicing monk or something, yeah, right.
Right. I haven't had any of those to test the product with yet. And then our last product is Infinity. This is a NAD longevity. Have you had somebody on talking about NAD? I'm guessing you know a little bit about NAD.
I have.
Do you want me to give you the kit?
I don't believe that we actually have. Please share.
Well, we're going to have to do a show just on NAD.
Yes.
NAD stands for nicotinamide. I'm going to give you the very quick. Stands for nicotinamide alanine dinucleotide. That's why we call it NAD. It is it's an oxidized form of vitamin B3. It's a critical function in the Krebs cycle, which is how on a cellular level your body produces energy. And as we age, our NAD levels reduce. And a lot of the things that we actually associate with aging are simply happening because you're losing your levels of NAD. If you try to take NAD directly as a supplement, an oral supplement, you'll break it down before you absorb it. But there are boosters. NR and NMN are the two big ones that you probably will hear about. And this helps boost your NAD levels. There are other treatments that I highly recommend with NAD, and again, we can have another conversation about NAD. But this is a great supplement, and interesting enough, as NAD levels go down, it's causing more aging inflammation in your body. So restoring NAD helps reduce inflammation. NAD helps increase your sleep, your quality of sleep, strength, endurance, very good for mental focus. Like if you're getting that foggy feeling, a lot of people blame that stuff again on age. And it's amazing when you start restoring people's NAD levels, what you see.
Oh, without question. I love it. So many great things. I really appreciate you guys because I get to partake in some of these things that I'm a big believer in the right supplementation, but it comes down to the foundation. And the foundation is the proper sleep, the proper hydration, the proper nutrition, the proper daily activity and exercise. And all of those things need to come together in order for this to really matter and make a dent and an impact. It's kind of like the whipped cream and the cherry on top to the sundae.
Yeah. And I just want to add with that, I mean, people are sometimes intimidated by, you start talking about all these lifestyle choices and they're just thinking like, oh my God, I'm doing all these things wrong.
All these things wrong.
Start making slow changes. I have a saying with people, you do the right things more often than not. Over time, nobody does everything right. I don't do everything right all the time. But over time, if you're tipping that scale, doing more right things than wrong things, you're going to get right results. The reverse is true too. Often what's happening is people are just tipping that scale. They're doing more wrong things than right things. It might take decades that they're seeing those wrong results. But you just start making very slow changes. You get success. Mindset, you're just such an example of that right mindset. It's just who you are now. And that can happen for everybody. And I see it happen for people all the time. And one of the things that to me is just so special about SuperHumn and our John, and you met some of the other guys that I get to work with, is they really get, I will say me, that is, if we can empower people to do that, then they're going to get the good quality products. They're going to get the best results. But we're at the end of the day, we're making this world a better place, 1% at a time.
Yeah. No, it's a great point to make, and because some of us just need that kick, some of us just need that spark, or that one conversation, or that one friend that put their arm around us and let us know, like, hey, just you're on the right path. Just stick with this. Keep doing this. But some of us, yourself, me, like, it's just kind of who I am. It's in my nature. Like, movement is just so much a part of me ever since I was young. Exercise, being strong, kind of being a leader, taking charge, taking action. Like, and some of it, those things don't come as naturally to other people, but it doesn't mean that it's not within their ability to get there. Sometimes they just need that nice shove or push or pull to get moving in that direction, and that's that nudge. But that's what's fun for guys like you and me who already love it and are passionate about it, is to try and, like, we want to rally everybody to, like, come and do it. It's great. Like, life's better when you do it like this, And
it is. It feels so good.
It totally does. Listen, I did a workout yesterday here at the gym for like 40 minutes, but it was rushed, and like, I got it done, but I felt like, I wish I could have done it a longer workout, but I had to leave. And then my wife's texting me like late in the day, and she's saying, hey, if you get home at a good time, we can work out together. And in my mind, I'm like, cool, I get another workout. Like, I don't get to do 2 workouts in a day ever, or very rarely. So I'm like, great. So I get home, and it's like, she crushed me because it was a workout that she decided to do. It was like a CrossFit conditioning workout. So I'm doing burpees and sprints and stuff in the dark with my wife. But you know what? It's all worth it, man, because while I was doing it, as much as it sucked, I'm like, this is so what I need right now. And when it was over with, I just felt so rejuvenated and, like, proud of myself. And that's what I want on that level. Like, you don't have to go and do that, but find get up 15 minutes early and go for a walk before you get ready for work, or take your dog for a walk or something, or you go for a walk at lunch, or start doing some body weight exercises, or bring your lunch with you instead of going out and buying crappy food at lunch. Like, all these little things that are really don't seem like a big deal that anyone can start to do to turn that corner and start to create a good habit in place of a bad habit, like you were saying, right? Just start to tip the scale in your favor a little bit more. Yeah.
As you do these things too, you're going to find that you meet other people. You go out for walks, you're walking your dog, you're going to meet other people who are walking your dogs. And what becomes important is you will develop a community. And again, one thing that I so resonate with Strong by Design, and what our mission is at SuperHumn too, is just to develop that community and that support as well too. And that's where it also just becomes so easy. I mean, you and your wife, you get to bond and connect over these things. I will tell you right now, on the geeky science side of me, you're releasing good chemicals when you're doing these things together. Those are literally bonding chemicals. It makes you a better husband, her a better wife, better parents. That is all very real and true. And we all want to show up better for the people that we love and care about most in our life. And as you do more of that, you will just naturally resonate and find more people who, serendipitously, magically resonate with you as well too. And it just becomes easier and easier, and it's effortless for you at this point, I'm sure.
No doubt about it. It's a very easy decision for me to, like, get up and move, and what's cool is my kids, they're coming outside because it's like, it's getting later. It's like 7:30 or whatever. It's starting to get dark. 7:45, 8 o'clock. Like, they're wondering, like, what are mom and dad doing? Like, why aren't they in the house? They're like getting done with dinner, brushing their teeth, getting ready for bed, and they're like, where? And they're coming out and they're participating, even though, like, so it's like, they're like, oh, can we ride our scooter with you while you're running? And, like, so they're seeing mom and dad getting after it and being physically active. Now they want to join in. So now you've just created another generation of activity and people, kids that associate, oh, this is good, I should do this. Mom and dad are doing it, so it's a positive influence on our children. I'm sure you've experienced that as a father, where you're being active and then your kids want to join.
Yeah, kids want to role model behavior. They're always going to role model more. The old days of like, do what I say, not what I do. We know that doesn't work. I mean, more than anything, kids role model behavior. I mean, there's been some interesting study actually on overweight people, because a lot of people will say that that's my genetics. They've actually done studies on kids who were adopted. The most common factor that caused them to be overweight was not their biological parents. It's the environment that they're raised in. The role modeling behavior of the parents that raise those children by far exceed any biological predisposition to be overweight.
Yep. Yeah, no question, dude. I'm so in alignment with that, and it's so true. It's a great point to make. I love it. So about this giveaway for our audience, for our listeners, here's what you can do. Go on to SuperHumn, find them on Facebook, on Instagram, and YouTube. Like and follow them. It's SuperHumn with no A, so SuperHumn, Humn, so SuperHumn. They're on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, so go check them out. Comment on a giveaway post on Instagram and tag a person who needs the product that you know who needs it the most, right? What was that? Was that a shirt?
Oh, yeah.
There it is, SuperHumn shirt. Look at that. I love it. And then there's 3 winners will be picked randomly. Each will get 2 bottles of Gut Health Optima. So this, what Dr. Steve talked about in the beginning with gut health, which I think ultimately is like, gosh, if people can take care of their gut, which is known as the second brain of the body, when your gut's in good health, your whole body feels different, and your brain as well. And we will DM the winners directly, or you guys will DM the winners directly on Instagram to coordinate who gets the products shipped out to them. So really, if you are a listener and you want some free stuff, go on and like SuperHumn. Certainly go on Instagram, but certainly Facebook and YouTube. Follow them to see what they're doing. Leave a comment, and they will randomly pick winners. The great thing is with this conversation, it's evergreen, and so even if you come check out this conversation months down the line, you've still benefited from a lot of great insight and information from Dr. Steve today, which I always get something out of this. I know a lot of this stuff, but it's always great to hear from an expert and just confirmation of how to live your best life and really take charge of your life. And so, Dr. Steve, thank you so much for taking the time to be on Strong by Design. I just really enjoyed it. And I would love to do it again down the line where maybe we can talk a little bit more at length about one of the particular products that you have at SuperHumn.
Absolutely, man. It's been a pleasure and such a joy, man.
Yeah, it always is. As I say, I would gladly, we basically do this podcast for free, right? It's our ministry, as I said in the beginning. It's not monetized currently. These are conversations that inspire change in me, as I know they do in our listenership. It's just so much fun. As I said, 5 years now that we've been at this, hundreds of episodes and amazing guests and conversations over this period of time. And I'm just so grateful for all of these amazing men and women that get to share their expertise and what they're doing in the world. So love what you have to do, what you're doing, Dr. Steve. And so listeners, please, now's the time, hit that 5 stars, leave us a rating or review. We would greatly appreciate that. And please share this conversation with somebody maybe in your life who could benefit from just something that we hit on today. Maybe it'll move the needle in someone else's life and they'll finally take action and start to make some change in their life, positive change, baby steps, and to live a little bit healthier. And so we thank you so much. We'll be back next week, as always, here on Strong by Design. We release an episode every single week. And we appreciate you so very much. God bless you. Talk with you soon.